Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sorcery and Synthetic. My name is Lily,
And I'm Skylar.
and today I will be your host while we discuss the Paris Catacombs. So, Skylar, what do you know? I'm curious, what do you know about the catacombs?
What do I know about the? It's like the Paris Catacombs specifically,
Yeah, specifically the
or
Paris
just
ones.
catacombs in general. Um. Well, as far as I'm aware, it's like there's a bunch of bones there because moved. They moved like a bunch of corpses there at some point because they just like ran out of storage. So they were like, let's just put them in like this dusty basement type deal. And I know people have like made art out of them. Like people have come back through and like made actual structures and stuff and art with the skulls.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So, the catacombs were created in Paris in the 1700s, because, as Skylar mentioned, there were just bodies completely filling all of the cemeteries in Paris, which, you know, with a bunch of corpses, you're going to get health concerns, right? You can't just have like millions of corpses. Just, well, I don't know if it was millions, but it was a lot of them. There were a lot of bodies just all over Paris. And that obviously made people sick, and they can't have that. This is in the 1700s, before like we have advanced, before they had any advanced like medical treatments and stuff like that. Uh, and at the same time as this, there were these old quarries that were in Paris, and they were causing sinkholes all across the city. So these sinkholes were obviously causing a lot of issues with and combined with the bodies. Paris wasn't a very great place to live. I think I heard somewhere, I don't necessarily know if this is true, but I heard that it actually was like at one point illegal to die in Paris.
What?
It used to be illegal to die in Paris just because there were so many bodies. So like if you die in Paris, they would probably just move your body somewhere else, which is insane. That's how bad it was. There was to get like a perspective.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was messed up. So the government, they had this idea. Now, back in the 1700s, that was when really like obviously the church and like religion stuff like that, especially in France, had a much bigger role, I'd say, than it does today. And so what would happen would be, how do I word this properly? Like there were we they there was a lot of controversy over moving all the bodies, because the government wanted to move all of the bodies into these quarries because obviously there's just a whole bunch of empty space that wasn't being used, and it was like causing sinkholes and stuff. They might as well, move the bodies down there. Like it makes sense, but obviously
Right.
a mourning families probably wouldn't like their dead relatives' bones being like buried, dug up, and thrown into a giant pit underground. And B, the church probably wouldn't like that either because they kind of want to give them a proper burial instead of just throwing them down in the cellar for them to rot. So because of this, I read this. Most of this information I'm getting from the Catacombs of Paris website. They actually just stole, they excavated all of their bodies late at night, so that
Yeah.
nobody would actually notice. I think they do like some per night, and then like just eventually all of the bodies were excavated.
Just slowly transporting them.
Yeah, so they would, because obviously if they did them all at once, people would probably notice that their family had disappeared. So they moved all the bones, and eventually the cemeteries were cleared. There was plenty of room. That sort of solved the dead people issue. And now, as of today, I think there's like over 1 billion bones down there. Like that's a lot. That's a
Whoa.
lot of bones, dude. Yeah, there's so many down there. It's insane. Like, but yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, over time, the government or whatever like opened the place up for the public. That wasn't opened until I think it was like the 1800s, like mid 1800s, I think. But anyways, they weren't open for the public for the longest time because, well, it's pretty much just a giant labyrinth with a bunch of bones. It's not like there's much to do.
Right.
But they started making, like, it was really cool. They started making like these sculptures, these really cool like like
Yeah,
statues and
okay.
stuff out of all the bones. Like I'm sure if you look up catacombs of Paris, you'll see like these big walls that are just lined up with bones. It's really cool looking, kind of spooky though, but it's so cool. Um, there's like tours you can get nowadays. People illegally go into the catacombs in like a bunch of different. There's like a bunch of. I won't obviously go over them because I don't really know them, and I don't think I
Yeah,
legally can say.
I'm
But
pretty sure you can only go in on tours, but a lot of
yeah,
people, and only in sanctioned areas. But a
mhm.
lot of people will go outside of those areas or find other ways into the catacombs just to explore and
Yeah,
other stuff.
yeah. It's the tourist friendly areas are probably they're definitely the most safe way to enter the catacombs to explore them because it's like I don't know exactly how many miles long it is, but it's like it's incredible. There's so many like branching paths. There's so many cool structures. It's just it's super cool. But yeah, people do enter illegally, which the issue with that being I'm pretty sure that counts as trespass, and that is illegal in
Mm-hmm.
France. And B, very easy to get lost. It's a giant quarry in the dark filled with nothing but bones and like rock. Like it's not really designed to be easily navigatable, considering it's also abandoned, or it was abandoned. The catacombs also
It's
they're a
labyrinthian.
what was that? Sorry.
It's labyrinthian.
Yeah, it is labyrinthian. It's a huge just labyrinth of nothing but corpses, but they turn something that's disgusting, which is obviously dead bodies,
Death.
into just like an art piece. Like it's beautiful. It's really cool.
Yeah,
And
definitely an
just be,
interesting type of art.
mhm. It's definitely unique. Reminds me of like taxidermy and stuff, except not really. I don't know, just the idea of turning something dead into like an art piece, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But just because of the nature of how the catacombs are, they're they've become a very popular location in media for paranormal and just general horror stuff. I remember a while back, back when I was a kid, I was browsing YouTube back when I first learned about the catacombs. I remember there being this viral clip going around where it was allegedly some guy who got lost in the catacombs, started seeing stuff, and then he dropped his camera and ran away. Now, that clip on its own is pretty creepy. I have heard that it
Yeah.
is probably faked. The clip itself is from a sketchy, like, from what I've read online, it was from a sketchy, like, TV series that was sort of like paranormal and stuff. I thought I read somewhere or like saw some sort of video a bit ago that was like sort of debunking it because it was first presented on a television series that was about called The Scariest Places on Earth, and
Hmm.
or at least that's where it was like popularized. So like the validity of if it's real or not is a bit questionable. No bodies were ever found, no
Right.
missing persons reports were ever made. So like we don't actually, it could be real, but like it could have also just been played for, like
Yeah, could be not.
could be just made for content. I have no idea. Either way, just like that video is how I first learned about the catacombs. That's from some random YouTube channels, probably like some top 10. Like, do you ever watch those top 10 scariest like YouTube videos or whatever?
Yeah,
They're like
yes, I'm
number
familiar.
10. This ghost was caught live on camera and stuff like that. Yeah, it was.
Well, I mean, you also have to think like you have to think of like what they have to gain from this clip. And I mean, if it's spread all over and the original creator is barely even credited even more anymore rather, then what are they getting from it?
I don't know. So one of these a Reddit post I'm reading is claiming, so you remember the Blair Witch Project? I think we discussed this a bit
Yes.
earlier, but the Blair Witch Project. So for those who don't know, it was a movie It was one of the first like found footage movies ever released. It's not.
Mockumentary.
Yeah, it was a mockumentary. But the way they advertised and presented this movie, they presented this as if it was real found footage, and this could be something similar. Like they hyped up the movie. They made the actors sign a contract to like not act in anything for like a year to pretend like they did actually go missing and stuff. I feel like it could be something similar to this, to that.
Possibly inspired by that
Yeah.
that movie coming out.
Wait, when did the Blair Witch come out? This might have been before that.
2099.
This was also in, oh yeah, the release of 99's Blair Witch Project. When was this documentary? The documentary was in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it could be inspired by that, or at least something similar. It from the perspective of if it's fake, most likely their whole show is about obviously scary places and whatnot, and paranormal activity, and all that sort of stuff. So, like, they might have just been trying to make an interesting story, even if it wasn't real. Either way, if it is real, I think that's like really terrifying. Could you imagine just like, could you imagine getting lost in the cat? I get lost very easily. I have a really poor sense of
You
direction.
get lost in the grocery store.
I do get lost in the grocery store sometimes, but like I feel like I could never go in the catacombs by myself. I would need someone else. I would never go illegally, obviously, but yeah. So the catacombs are also a very popular hangout spot for people. As I mentioned before, people have made structures. However, other structures have been found in the catacombs that were not made by the government.
They were
I don't
not
think.
sanctioned.
Not sanctioned. Yeah, I believe someone found a secret bar in the catacombs. Like there are bars just down there
Right.
that are like, yeah, there's just like a whole ass bar. It's so cool. Like people have turned this thing into like just a whole. It's so creepy, but it's also so just like it's like another world, you know. I could imagine like there's probably definitely at least a few people living down there. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure there's all this space, but like these bars and stuff are like all these like structures you can find interest me so much. It makes me really want to explore them. I've never been to Paris or anything, but this just looks
Right.
this is also cool. On that topic, the catacombs, because of their sort of popularity, I guess, in horror media, they did get a movie sort of about them. I haven't seen it, but or no, I did see it. I saw it a very long time ago. It's called As Above, So Below.
Would you rather I talk about my interpretation of it?
Yeah, sure thing. I haven't seen it,
For
so you go
for
ahead.
this part, yeah. As Above, So Below is kind of inspired by the mystique surrounding the Paris catacombs, kind of the mystery about it that comes with the idea of dead people in this kind of weird, mysterious spot, you know? Of course, it's like man made, but they're so deep and labyrinthian that many people have speculated that perhaps the entrance into hell exists in there. And As Above, So Below kind of follows that idea, giving a interesting mythos regarding the possibility that the entrance into hell exists within it. And they also end
Mhm.
up like it's on a hunt for the source the philosopher's stone too, which is a kind of
Mm.
interesting aspect. It's kind of a bizarre movie, but it's a very good found footage movie. Definitely like Blair Witch inspired.
Mhm. We should watch that sometime. I saw it a very long time ago, but I fell asleep halfway through the movie
Mm-hmm.
because I was like 12. But like, I would really love to see that. It looks so cool.
It's a
What's
good
it
one.
like rated on? Here, let me look this up. Yeah, it's
13,
cool.
or is it
Oh, I
R?
meant like ratings. Oh, the ratings are okay. They say it's not that. I'm still
Yeah,
interested.
no,
I still
people
kind of want to
people
watch.
don't people don't like it very much for some reason. I feel like it
Oh,
has.
really?
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of critical fame, but it definitely has a following, I would say.
I'd definitely be down to watch it. Just I'm so interested in these catacombs. Grade 8, back when I was in elementary, I wrote a whole like 1,000 word, not thousand, it was more than that, like a whole like 5-page essay about the catacombs and how cool they were and like all the mysteries surrounding it. My
Yeah.
God, I've been waiting for another time to talk about them again for so long. Oh my God, they're so cool. But yeah, there's as above, so below. The catacombs have had like a big impact on sort of society as a whole, and our sort of interpretations of horror and stuff. Just this giant labyrinth. Now I'm gonna be getting into this. This brings me to this next part, which is going to be my personal interpretations and stuff, and like speculation things about them, surrounding them, which is I'm going to be talking about the impact. I feel like the catacombs, I feel like they definitely ended up inspiring, the back, I'm sure you've heard of the back
Of
rooms.
course.
Uh yeah, I think everyone has. Well, okay, for those who don't know, if you somehow don't know, the back rooms are essentially this fictional area, a liminal space or whatever, where it's essentially a giant, huge labyrinth of just office walls and nothing but similar doors, carpet, walls, like monsters and stuff like that, fluorescent lights. And it's just a huge labyrinth. There's like some cool structures within. It's entirely fictional, but people have gone wild with the concept. We should make an episode on that later. I'd want to make one on that because I think the backrooms are also cool. But I feel like the backrooms were definitely inspired by the catacombs in some way, or at least in some
Yeah, I definitely
interpretations of it.
see that connection of like little light, labyrinthian, of course, the
Mm-hmm.
obvious connections between the two.
Yeah, it's such a good like outlet for horror. There's so much you could do with it. Just having a huge labyrinth of just nothingness, or with the looming threat of maybe this isn't the nothingness, maybe there is something around, but you just never see it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that sort of horror, it's such a good like yeah, outlet.
Yeah,
I definitely want to see a lot
it.
more about them.
I definitely say it kind of inspires our ancient fear of the unknown. Because as humans, we need to
Yeah.
know what's going on around us. We need to know what's happening. We need to understand
Hmm.
everything. So the idea
Yeah.
that there's this kind of strange area, we don't know where the next turn leads, is definitely very,
Hmm.
very ancient as well in our mythos,
Yeah,
in
plus
our
all the
culture.
bones everywhere really get you in that feeling of the uncanny valley. Which, by the way, I I for some reason I always watch these old YouTube videos that were like, this is a bit off topic. It just is on the topic of the uncanny valley, where people would talk about this primal fear in us, where we're like, if we see something that kind of looks human but isn't and is sort of off-putting, then that's in the uncanny valley and makes
Yeah.
us like experience fear. And now people have been like theorizing that, like, oh, maybe there was some sort of like humanoid figure that used to kill humans in the past. But like, I think I heard somewhere that it's literally just like our primal reaction to seeing a corpse. And like it makes
Yeah,
sense
I've
too,
heard that before.
because like corpses, corpses would bring disease to people. That's the whole reason the catacombs exist, is because corpses were making everyone sick back in the 1700s.
Yeah, so the catacombs
And
connects to a
so
lot of just our primal ancient fears as humans.
yeah, fear of the dark, fear of the unknown, the uncanny
Mm-hmm.
valley, fear of corpses and
Tight
stuff,
spaces.
fear of tight spaces, but also incredibly large labyrinths, fear of getting lost. It's just such a good horror thing. I really want to see more
And yet it exists
about
in
it
real
because
life.
it exists in real life. It's the real life backrooms. This is that should be the title of the episode, the real life backrooms. No, I don't think it should, but you know, God, it's such a cool thing. Um,
The
what do you?
catacombs
What's
pull in the
like?
real life backrooms.
Would you be down to explore it? Like, in theory, we're not going to Paris tomorrow, but would you, in theory, explore it if you had the opportunity to? I
I
think
th-
I would, legally though,
I think
and with other
yeah,
people.
stay within the tour guide stuff. I probably
Yeah,
would.
don't.
I mean, I've went caving before. It's not that dissimilar.
God, I could never go caving. I have big
No, it was
claustrophobia.
insane.
I'm very.
The
Oh God.
the weirdest part about caving too was like if we turned off our flashlights, it was just pitch dark. Nothing. You couldn't see a
Oh
single
God.
thing other than
Maybe we
the
gotta make a
lights
caving
of
episode.
distant other than the lights of distant explorers in the cave.
Oh, that's so cool. I think I didn't go caving once, but I've been in a cave before, and it was on a tour guide thing. We just sort of
Mm.
it had like stairs and stuff. We weren't like actually like, exploring. Do you have any more closing remarks about the back? Not the back rooms. We're not. This isn't the back rooms episode.
Yeah, just redo it.
Oh my God,
Redo the line.
dude. Okay, so no, today's the catacombs episode, but we call it the back rooms in real life. And then when we do the back rooms episode, we call it the catacombs in fake life. Like we call it that. I think that's a great title. Oh my God.
Insane.
Okay, well, I think that'll sort of be it. I sort of just wanted to talk about this because I think the catacombs are really cool. This sort of podcast is just going to mainly be us talking about horror things in fiction or in real life
That we just
think
find
are
cool.
really cool. We just want to talk about. Yeah, it's just our outlet to share with the world because there's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff out there, and yeah. So I guess thank you guys for watching. We're gonna be trying to upload one of these every week. Skylar, do you know what day we should upload these
Fridays.
each week? Like maybe Wednesday,
I think
maybe
we should
Monday.
do Fridays.
Fridays. Okay, Fridays. Fridays should work. Yeah, every Friday. So Skylar, do you want to introduce the what's up next?
Thank you all for joining in our discussion about the Paris Catacombs. Next episode, we will be talking about the Devil's Tramping Grounds. And if you want your stories to be featured on the podcast, feel free to send us an email at sorceryandsynthetic@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Insta at sorceryandsynthetic. That's all for now.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next week.